I'm so thrilled to welcome to the show former Governor Pat Quinn, who served as Illinois' 41st governor from 2009 to 2015. And he wants to share some information about a ballot referendum, an amendment referendum. It's going to be on our November ballot. Governor, thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Well, same here. It's always good talking to you, Patty. And I really liked your talk earlier about everybody in, nobody left out when it comes to volunteering for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. We got to make sure we win that election November 5th. And everybody has a role to play. Nobody left out.
Nobody left out. I've been going up to Wisconsin every weekend. We're doing fibs for Wisconsin. Are you familiar with the term fibs, sir?
Well, I know something about Wisconsin. My sons are the great-great-grandsons of Jacob Leinenkugel, who...
What?
Yeah, he went to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin in 1867, and he liked the water there. It was very pure, so that's where he started Leinenkugel, the brewery, and they have a brewery there, and my name is on the wall. He has the whole family tree going back all the way to Jacob Leinenkugel, and so I've been up there more than a few times, and that's a key battleground area in Wisconsin because they're actually pretty close to the Minnesota or Minneapolis media. You can get TV from Minneapolis there, and it's going to be a battleground everywhere. I think Kamala was in La Crosse today. Maybe she was visiting there. That's near Chippewa Falls too.
Yep.
So wherever we are, we're all Midwesterners. Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, and it's here in Illinois. We share Midwestern values, and one of those values is having the opportunity to have a fair tax system. Unfortunately, in Illinois, we have sort of an upside-down tax system where the millionaires get the tax breaks, and everyday people get property tax bills, higher and higher bills. And there's the referendum on the ballot this November that people can vote on, and it is called the Illinois Property Tax Relief Amendment, and it calls for a 3% income tax surcharge only on millionaires, and that money would be used in Illinois to give property tax relief to the more than 3 million homeowners that we have in our state. People own condos, homes, and so on. And I'm all for this. I've been campaigning, traveling across Illinois, urging people to vote yes. Referendum. It's right on the front of the ballot, and it's a good chance for people to send a message that we need fundamental tax reform and tax relief for people who live from paycheck to paycheck.
And here's the thing. Not only do we need to vote for a referendum like this and send a message to Springfield, then we need to follow through, because I am never, ever going to forget that over 70% of Illinoisans voted for the millionaire tax in 2014, voted Governor Rauner in over you, and then the legislature didn't pass the legislation for the millionaire tax that was supposed to go to educate. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get angry for you, Governor. I'm sure that you've...
Oh, no.
So I'm just saying.
No reason to get angry. That was 10 years ago. That was my idea, 3% tax surcharge. And the biggest source of money for property taxes is education. So I put that on the ballot when I was governor. It got passed by a 64% margin, and then of course Rauner didn't do anything about it. But we got another chance 10 years later, a decade later, to vote for this. And what happened in Massachusetts just 2 years ago, 2022, people had a millionaire surcharge on their referendum ballot. They voted for it, and they're actually getting more money in than they ever expected. There's only about 77,000 millionaires in Illinois, about 1% of all the taxpayers. But they really, if you have a surcharge on their income, it's so enormous, it can fund, according to the Illinois Department of Revenue, $4.5 billion worth of property tax relief that could help every homeowner in our state in a significant way.
It's amazing to me. And when you say it can make a significant impact, but the 1% for them doesn't impact them as much as the onerous tax system we have for everybody else. I mean, because I did a lot of research on this when I ran in 2020 for state rep. You know, the income for the wealthy has gone up 110%. It might be even worse now, but 110% since the 1970s. And ours has gone up 9%. We're just trying to do something to close the gap a little bit. And sir, I didn't realize that we have the second worst property taxes, second only to New Jersey. That's crazy.
No, that's right. Illinois has way too high property taxes, Patty, and this is a way to do something about it. This is really the first time ever on the ballot box in every precinct in the state, whether it's cities, suburbs, downstate, everyone will get a chance to vote for a specific way to fund property tax relief that's meaningful for people who own homes. We want to encourage people to own homes and stay in their home. But I was down in Pilsen. I'm going to the south suburbs this Sunday, or Saturday it is, at the First Baptist Church in Park Forest. And, a lot of the homeowners there really got socked with super high property tax assessments and higher bills. And they're looking for a way to do something about it. And the best way to do it is at the ballot and voting yes for the property tax relief amendment.
Yeah, because here's the thing, folks, when we talk about people wanting to leave Illinois, that was when I was down in Springfield covering the budget impasse. A lot of folks talked about how they want to leave because of the property taxes. I didn't realize that it's almost doubled for folks. The typical homeowner paid about $5,055 in property taxes in 2022, more than double the American homeowners bill of $2,500. That's, again, it's not sustainable, because then you have folks that are then worried about buying a house because how much will property taxes be, but then rental prices go up. People are just caught here, they're trapped almost in the system.
Well, that's right. The property tax is not based on ability to pay. And there's a principle as old as the Bible. The taxes should be based on ability to pay. And in Illinois, we've got to do something about it. If we have millionaires with huge incomes, very high incomes, far more than $1 million, and they're paying a tax rate on their millions that is one of the lowest tax rates on millionaires in the whole country. Most states have a much higher tax rate on millionaires than Illinois does today. So if we adjust that with an income tax surcharge passed by the voters that only would apply to millionaires, people who declare more than $1 million annually every year in their income, they're blessed. We're happy about that, but we ought to straighten things out so that folks who don't make $1 million, who live in a house and they're trying to stay in their house, they're living from paycheck to paycheck, we want to get property tax rebates back to those men and women who own those homes. And there's a bill that passed Springfield. It's now a law. It's called the Property Tax Relief Fund, and it would call for annual property tax rebates to the more than 3 million homeowners in Illinois. We just have to fund that property tax relief fund, and that's what this referendum is all about.
So tell people about the language, because this is the part that always makes me nervous, is the way things are worded, if people will understand. Then you have people spreading misinformation and lies. So tell folks about the language that they're aware. And do you happen to know, where is it on the ballot? I haven't seen, I don't have a mail-in ballot, so I haven't seen it yet.
Well, a friend of mine went to vote yesterday, and when you go to vote for president, we encourage all the listeners to vote for president, because this is going to be the biggest turnout in Illinois in the past 4 years for sure. Right next to where you vote for president on the Chicago ballot is this referendum, the property tax amendment, and people will see it right away. When you go to vote for president, you'll see the referendum. There's two other referendums on the ballot. One has to do with protecting IVF, in vitro fertilization, and the other one has to do with protecting workers who work in elections from any kind of harassment. Two separate referendums, but the big fiscal one, the one that affects the money of everyday people, is the property tax relief amendment, and it takes Illinois' upside-down tax system, where the millionaires get the breaks and everyday people get the bills. We want to change that around, and we can do it at the ballot box like folks did in Massachusetts and hopefully here in the land of Lincoln as well.
Again, folks, we're talking to former Illinois Governor Pat Quinn. We're talking about this referendum that will be on your ballot in Illinois. And one of the things that people feel it, right? Illinois' excessive reliance on property taxes makes the state's tax code one of the 10 most unfair state codes in the country. And we're better than this, Governor, are we? We're better than this.
No, they are. When I was governor, I signed bills for tax relief to improve the value of the earned income tax credit. We also indexed the personal exemption, the cost of living, to try and give tax relief to everyday people. And I did propose my last year as governor a 3% surcharge on millionaires to make our tax code fairer for everyday people. Well, we had it on the ballot as an advisory question in 2014. The people voted for it. This time we've got to make sure it happens. And that's what the referendum is on November 5th of this year. And I found, Patty, I've been traveling, downstate suburbs here in Chicago where I live. People understand that it's high time that we use the ballot box to be the voice of the people, the voice of the taxpayer for fairness. And as you point out, Illinois, unfortunately, over the years has gotten to be one of the worst unfair tax codes in the whole country. Well, we, the people, can kind of break legislative gridlock and get something done that really helps the average person who doesn't have a lobbyist, who's not a big shot with big money, but really is the heart and soul of Illinois.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, someone just texted in, by the way, Pat Quinn was a good governor, and policy wonk hero. I think that our mutual friend, Senator Dankatowski, was something he talked to me about. Yeah, that I sat down with you when I was coming down to advocate for families in 2012. You were gracious enough to, you were going home for Thanksgiving holiday, and you took about 20-25 minutes to sit down with me and talk about services for the disabled. And I always remember that too. And I'm grateful for the work that you do. But we had an opportunity in 2020 to pass a progressive tax, and dark money. People running these ads and these campaigns, and all of a sudden, working class people are like, "Oh, sure, save the wealthy." How do you feel about the communication in this instance for this referendum?
Well, I was, for the 2020 referendum, but I did tell the advocates that I didn't think it was simple enough. In order to pass referendums, I passed a referendum for the Citizen Utility Board, and we passed a referendum called the Cutback Amendment to reduce the size of the legislature, and we passed a referendum to raise the minimum wage. It's got to be straightforward, clear, and simple. And in my view, the best way to do the property tax relief is to focus any kind of raising of taxes only on millionaires, only on the people who are lucky enough to have more than $1 million a year in income. The first million, they'd be taxed like everybody else. But for the millions above that, they'd have a 3% surcharge. And there was a tough battle in Massachusetts with this idea 2 years ago, but the people voted for it because it was clear, understandable, not complicated. And I think what happened in 2020, it got too complicated. And as you point out, there are millionaires with big money. They're going to try and stop this. But we the people, we've got to early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and organize. Grassroots organizing. You know how to do that. I've been in the vineyard for a long time. That's how you win referendums against the big money guys.
Well, in addition to voting, as we continue to encourage folks not just to vote, but do the work, what can we do to help get this passed?
Well, the number one thing I think is, the legislature put this question of the property tax relief amendment, they put it on the ballot in May. And a lot of folks, I don't think, realize it. I talked to a lot of elected officials, and they, oh, really? Is that on the ballot? And I said, yeah, it is. And this is the first time ever in the history of Illinois where people get to direct the legislature on how to exactly fund property tax relief. And so this is a rare opportunity. We've got to use it. And I think the key thing that people can do is take a look at the ballot as it'll appear. It'll be in the newspaper. They call them specimen ballots or sample ballots. And when you go to vote, it's right there. It'll stare you right in the face, right on the first page. And tell your friends, neighbors, coworkers, coworkers, people you hang out with. If you're a Bear fan, I am. Tell the fellow Bear fans that, not only do we want the Bears to win, but we want the property tax relief amendment to win and the vote yes. That's how it works. And, I go to a lot of neighborhood meetings. In Pilsen, there's a great group called El Pueblo Manda, a group of people who've been hard hit by high property taxes in their neighborhood. They want to stay in their neighborhood, but they need a reform, and that's what the property tax relief amendment will give them, relief and reform.
And what's the best place for folks to visit to get more information so they're better informed and can have these conversations with their friends, their family, their neighbors?
Well, it's called Illinois Property Tax Relief Now. .org. That's our website. It has a lot of information and the various talks that we've been involved in, rallies that we've had, articles about it. There's no question that the insiders with big money are going to try and block any kind of tax relief, especially tax reform for everyday people. But we can win, and we can win it by organizing. I've been involved in a lot of referendum campaigns. And in my opinion, referendum is the number one voice of the people. It's a chance for people to vote not just for candidates, but on an issue that counts. It makes a difference in their family budget. It gives them relief from a property tax system that's out of control, not based on ability to pay. It's complicated. It's confusing. It's unfair. And all it does is gobble up $23 billion a year from homeowners all across Illinois. We've got to do something about that, reform the system, keep our funding for schools and all the important things, but tell millionaires they got to pay their fair share.
I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and we've got some texters who are texting in. Pat was a Teamster, so he knows how to organize and get things done too in situations like, that's Teamster Brett that just messaged us that.
I was in 84 for 3 years in college. That's how I was able to go to college. With the money I earned in the summertime from being a Teamster, can't go wrong.
And also, folks want to know how you're feeling in this playoff season for baseball. The White Sox, I think, had a bit of a rough season. I don't want to rub that in, sir. Not that the Cubs are doing anything, but still.
No, I'm a White Sox fan, but my heart is big enough for two teams, and that includes the Chicago Cubs. I was at Wrigley Field a couple of times this year. It appears from reading the Sun-Times this morning that the owner of the White Sox may be interested in selling the teams, and we'll find out. But we clearly have to do a lot better than this year where we had the worst time. It's a little hard because I was down in Houston back in 2025 when the White Sox won it all in 4 straight games, and now to have what happened this year, it's hard to take. And we shall survive, and we hopefully will rise.
Excellent. Yeah, I wish the White Sox a better season next year. I mean, look, they've had bad years. 1919 was rough, so I'm just saying it wasn't as bad as that.
go. Well, you got to hope springs eternal. I think it's really important that, when I was governor, I actually had a fundraiser out in Los Angeles, and there were a lot of Cub fans who had grew up in Chicago, and they were in Hollywood and all that, and they were gigantic Cubs fans then. And back then, it was in 2014, is any team can have a bad century. That was the Chicago Cubs. But what? 2016, they win it all. Yay! Okay, 108 years after the last time they won. Yep. So we have to have hope springs eternal to make sure that we the fans come first.
I have some texters who are saying that I'm rubbing it in. I don't mean to. But I feel you. Hey.
Oh, listen, I went to the Sox games the last week, the last home games, and I'm a Sox fan. I'm still rooting for them to win. But there were guys behind me in White Sox hats and jackets that were, I got to admit, rooting for a loss so that we set the record for the loss. I told them, come on. And then I'm superstitious. It's a very bad luck. We can't do that. They ultimately lost the game up in Detroit, but sometimes you do hit the bottom. But hopefully you come back with just grassroots energy, I guess you call it.
Well, I appreciate your time and for informing us on this very important referendum. The website is IllinoisPropertyTaxReliefNow.org. Again, IllinoisPropertyTaxReliefNow.org. Governor Quinn, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to having you on the show again soon.
Same here, Patty. Keep up the good work. I love listening to your show and everything on CPT.
Appreciate that.
Progressive. There you go.
That's right. Okay. All grassroots. Take care, sir. Go get them.
All right. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you.